stories. I call it the singing ocean because, or the singing planet. Wherever you go in the world, whether it's the top part of the Arctic Ocean or the equator, a rainforest, a leaf, you will find the world is singing. I grew up on Cape Cod, on an island, and so I was running around like a wild dog for a long time and learned how to navigate and find water in the dunes. And then later at 9 years old, I came to New York City, and I was a choir boy at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine here in Manhattan, and I was immersed in song. I grew up in music, so I'm split brain. I'm an engineer and a biologist and a passionate person for life, and I luckily have the opportunity to have no division between what I do and what I believe in and what I know. There are no known deaf marine vertebrates. That includes the blue whale, the largest animal on the planet, all the fishes. You see shamu, and I hope all you know that there are lots of different shamus. They get the same name, but they're all the same species. And then in the lower left-hand corner, you see a mantis shrimp representing the invertebrates. This is representing the food chain that Sylvia was talking about and others. This is the support system of the ocean's life, right? Blue whales are iconic, okay? Think of them as a metaphor. They have statutory protection in our country. And we use them, so do killer whales. So we use them as the mechanism for supporting actions that lead to conservation activism for ocean life. This is a picture that I think could be in MoMA. But as a scientist, what I do, because as a musician I do one thing, and as a scientist I do another, then I merge the two. So as an artist, you could look at this and see, oh, it's an interesting picture with blues and yellows and whatever. But actually what it is, it's a year in the life of blue and fin whales in the Pacific Ocean. This is an image converted from 1 year of continuous recording from a hydrophone. This is an underwater microphone sitting on the bottom of the ocean, halfway between San Francisco and Honolulu. It's part of a network system that was put in by the US Navy starting in the 1960s, and it's still out there today. And I took one hydrophone, in this case, 1 year of recording, and converted it, actually a colleague of mine, converted it into this image. And what you see here is the collective voice of blue whales and fin whales. And I know it's blue whales because right up here is a little line, and that's the telltale part of a blue whale song. So this is the same thing that happens to you every spring when the birds return and the peepers start peeping and the birds start singing. This is the voice of life in the North Pacific Ocean. And everywhere you go in the North Pacific Ocean, if you could dive down to the bottom, and Sylvia, I want to go in that sphere of yours, and I want to turn off all the noise-making things, and I want to descend to the bottom and listen. That's life. Up here, the streaks, some of those are humpback whales singing, and some of those are weather. So I want to tell you a story about scale, and Louis just mentioned scale. It's critical that we were able to move very easily, transition from the scale, the size of this room, to the size of an ocean. And we're able to do this more and more consciously, and many of you are in a generation where this is almost done just like fluid mechanics. It's really easy. But my generation, we didn't have Google Earth. We didn't have cell phones, right? We grew up with rotary phones. Maybe some of you don't even know what a rotary phone is, right? In fact, when I grew up, I had a phone that multiple people used that same phone, and there was only a certain ring in my grandmother's house that I could learn to know that was the phone call for the house. Okay, 1963, a small explosion off of Perth, Australia, travels halfway around the world, 3.5 hours in this direction. It also traveled the other direction and came into the Pacific Ocean. And this is fictional sort of diagram of the path of the sound entered the North Atlantic Ocean and was detected on all of the Navy's arrays, okay? That is the transparency of the ocean to sound. And I'm building this case because it's so important to understand this is the scale over which low-frequency sound, blue whales, fin whales, humpback whales, all the great voices of the ocean can transmit themselves, get transmitted to the ocean. The arrow at the top, the yellow arrow at the top, is to remind me to tell you that not that long ago, last March, I listened to a blue whale singing off of Ireland, west of Ireland. I listened to it with an instrument that I had made and put in the ocean. Nothing fancy. It's almost like a Radio Shack kind of thing. Put in the ocean off Virginia. I listened to that blue whale singing across the Atlantic Ocean. So Roger, thank you very much. You gave me that idea. You wrote a paper. You hypothesized that it could happen, and it has happened. It happens all the time. And I had the great fortune of telling Roger 2 weeks ago, working with a colleague in the same system, located and followed a blue whale that was singing in the Southern Ocean, Pacific Ocean, 6,500 miles away, right? It's not all the way around the world, but it's a pretty long distance, okay? Similarly, 2 weeks ago, a Seismic Airgun Survey, this is how we explore for oil and gas in the ocean, off of Brazil. Those sound explosions, one every 10 seconds, I picked that up off of Ireland, all right? The ocean is transparent to low-frequency sound. The whales have evolved to use it that way. Oh, and guess what? Thousands of species of fishes use low-frequency sound to maintain their social networks, to find food, to find mates, to detect predators. All the basic life functions are acoustic. A blue whale can't even see its tail most times, but it can communicate with another blue whale 1,000 miles away. I'm going to play you a song. This is a blue whale, sped up 30 times so you can hear it. This was recorded 650 miles away, so it's not that far away, but it's at least the distance between here and what? Charleston or somewhere in Atlanta, something like that. So Sylvia was talking about songbirds. Well, this is the great songbird of the ocean. Only one note of a blue whale song lasts 25 seconds and is repeated in the North Atlantic every 71 seconds. And when the whale comes to the surface to breathe, takes 3 to 4 minutes at the surface to breathe, goes down in, and guess what? That animal can come in on the beat. Now, I would challenge anyone in this room, let alone up at the Met, to actually keep a rhythm at 71 seconds, let alone 30 seconds, right? But their heart only beats a couple of times a minute, and when they dive, it's probably less than once a minute, right? So their whole clock, their whole sense of space, their whole sense of time is completely different than ours. So one of the messages you should be hearing in this sequence of presentations is we have to adapt. We have to take our minds and stretch them and bend them and change them. We have to go through this transition to make a difference and to become actively engaged in life on this planet. The world isn't going to bend to ours. We'll just destroy it unless we change. I'm going to play you a fin whale, also at times 30. This is a cousin of the blue whale. They hybridize. This is the species that once the Navy started really paying attention to it, it's so mechanical and so loud that it has to be enemies. It has to be something going on with the Soviet Union. They're communicating between different submarines or something, but it can't be natural. Well, once we tracked it, or I didn't track it, but once it was tracked and it was moving around in an odd way, that captain would have been fired long ago. Ships produce enormous amounts of radiated low-frequency energy. This is just to remind you, I can also be a completely scientific nerd. I've got a degree in electrical engineering, so I can be really anal about these kinds of things. But I just sort of summarize it here just to say we are collecting a lot of data in the ocean right now, continuously. So this statement of 150 years of data per year. What I'm saying is we have hundreds of recorders on the bottom of the ocean. We have it in the Indian Ocean, we have it off of Gabon, we have it off of the western North Pacific, in the Arctic, all over. We can now do this at a scale that was incomprehensible not that long ago. We also have real-time systems. Right now, you could go to Listen for Whales, and you can get downloads from satellite transmitted recordings of real-time stuff from buoys in the ocean. We should have one off New York, right? We can map shipping noise, okay? Again, this is a nerdy slide, but you see where you are? We're right here. We're in New York, right here. This is a map of ocean noise averaged for 1 year in the Atlantic Ocean, considering all commercial shipping, all right? The color indicates how much noise there is from commercial shipping, all right? So we can do this. We know how to do it. We know how to add it all up. Now the question is, what are we going to goddamn do about it, right? That's what we're talking about here. It's like the plastic situation. Okay, we know we have a lot of plastic in the ocean. Now I'm telling you, we have a lot of noise in the ocean. And this is just noise from commerce that brings our microwave ovens and color TVs and all that kind of stuff, right? It's huge. I'm going to just show you a little snippet of the footprints from individual ships. So this is an animation. It's based on real data. This isn't a model, okay? Boston's over here. Some of you may know a place called Provincetown, which is on the tip of Cape Cod. There's Gloucester. These are the shipping lanes going into Boston and out of Boston, right? That's where ships should travel. This is a sanctuary. This is the outline of the Stellwagen Bank National Marine Sanctuary. Sanctuaries are mostly political fiction, all right? You can fish in it. You just can't take the gravel out. And I'm sorry, I'm probably insulting some of my great friends at NOAA, but we all know that sanctuaries are not typically sanctuaries. Right here, that glow is the glow from a ship sitting on a liquefied natural gas terminal where the ship comes in and delivers liquefied natural gas to heat the homes of New England, okay? This is another commercial ship. All these little glows right here, those are the glows of the radiation of communicating North Atlantic right whales, one of the most endangered species in the world. Roger introduced me to right whales in South America. We lived in a tent, sat underneath the Southern Cross. Penguins would come into the tent and steal your clothes. It was great fun. But these are the glows of the whales. Now I'm going to show you an animation, and when the glow of a whale disappears under the footprint of a commercial ship, that whale has lost all the ability to be heard or to hear other whales, all right? Their entire acoustic system has been torn apart. So imagine you're all used to using your cell phones and walking around and saying, hey, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Well, imagine that multiple times throughout the day, it just goes blank. So I'm not going to animate it. Thanks very much. I sped it up. There's a clock up there. So some of the ships come in. There's the LNG. There's a small boat. And then you're going to see a reasonable sized commercial ship come in, right? Now that is Boston. Boston is pathetic when it comes to its port authority. It's not a big port. Go to Long Beach off, LA, or go to even New York City, right? So I don't know if you saw it, but those whales are losing 2/3 of their opportunities to communicate. All right, it's another chronic imposition. It's an influence which it's not killing them, it's just killing them slowly, all right? And that's a theme you're hearing over and over again. We're killing ourselves slowly because we're basically killing the ocean. And this is just another layer of stress that we're imposing on this system. So Roger, you'll appreciate this. Once upon a time, blue whales could communicate over this is the western North Atlantic, right? The red area is where they could communicate pre-shipping. Nowadays, they're down to about 10% of their opportunities to communicate, right? Now imagine if I asked you to just forget about your visual. You can't see. You can maybe see your waist. That's it. And your entire life depended on being able to hear and be heard. That's what we're doing. And we're doing it not just for the big whales, we're doing it for the medium-sized whales, we're doing it for the fishes, we're doing it for the invertebrates. You're going to be reading more and more scientifically that there are evidence now that the invertebrates, the larval fishes, okay, which still don't have much of a spine, the larval fishes are using acoustic cues to navigate and find their larval homes when they're adults, okay? Here comes another troll. This is a really big troll coming over the bridge. Seismic surveys. How do we find most of our oil and gas, if not all of our oil and gas, in the ocean? We go out and do a survey, and by survey, you set off an explosion. When I was a kid growing up in Cape Cod, you'd use dynamite, okay? They still do use dynamite in certain parts of the world. Use dynamite, you set off an explosion. If I played one of those sounds in this room, I'd blow out your ears, and I'd probably cause some of you to have hemorrhages, right? So right now, I showed you that, I talked about that one operation off of Brazil. So right now in the Atlantic Ocean, today, as I speak, there are at least 20 seismic operations occurring in the ocean. Every one of those produces sound that you can hear across an ocean basin. I'm going to show you an animation. This is a model test. This is a small air gun, a single air gun. Air gun puts out a burst of compressed gas that essentially boils water. It changes the partial pressure so much that it creates a bubble. And then watch this. Bam. All right? It looks sort of benign, right? It's just a big ball. But that creates a pulse of up to 265 decibels. It can't get any higher than that, right? This is happening every 10 seconds for weeks and months at a time as they do surveys. We do those surveys because we all rely on oil and gas to heat our homes, drive our cars. Basically, our economy runs on that. I'm not trying to denigrate the fact that the industry has been phenomenally technically successful, right? But we have to change the way we do business in the ocean. We cannot be it won't be sustainable. I'll just keep going. So this is a tuned down version of the explosion. It starts out as a 1/10 of a second explosion, just like someone setting off a firecracker next to your ear, but as it propagates to the ocean distorts it, it changes its shape, and if you play the next one, it's 600 miles, sped up. So imagine living in a world where this is happening every 10 seconds, over and over. Imagine that there's a spaceship over New York City, and in April it comes in, and Jim Cameron's probably not here, but you play this thing, and every 10 seconds there's an explosion. All summer long, goes back and forth, goes up to Albany, comes back down, goes over to Connecticut, goes back to every 10 seconds. The glassware in your grandmother's cupboard are falling off the shelves, right? You can't sleep, you can't think. All right, last but not least, that's a nerdy animation of what a seismic explosion looks like as it propagates out through the ocean. This is 100 kilometers. This is off of Virginia. It's a model system. There's the right whale, and here's what happens. Bam, 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 right? It's hard to get this across. Every 10 seconds. This isn't subtle. Right now, the east coast of the United States has been opened up. The decision was made, the record of decision was made just a month ago by the Department of the Interior with help from the Department of Commerce that the East Coast is going to be opened up for exploration for oil and gas, okay? There are 9 applicants. It's moving forward. We're not make-believe. This is not science fiction, guys. This is right now, right off our coast. And what I did here, okay, someone was talking about 1,000 square miles. That footprint is at least 100,000 square miles of that explosion. Entire ecosystems will be impacted. Anyway, I think you've heard enough about that. It's a call to action. I'm a scientist, and half my brain, I love music, I listen to the world. I'm paid to be an explorer and discovery. This isn't about a belief system, guys, right? It's not a belief system. It's knowledge-based. We know what we're doing. Now it's a question of what are we going to do about it? And we're going to do something. Thank you very much.